Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Get Loved Up podcast. I am so honored to have you here. We have been getting some great feedback on our recent shows, and I cannot wait for you to meet our next guest. Our next guest, we met recently since the pandemic, and when I heard about his story, which he is going to share with you all, I was like, wow, everyone needs to hear this. So you all give a warm welcome to Marcus Black. How are you, Marcus?
What up, family? Hello, my friend. How are you? What up, everybody that's listening? I'm so excited to be here. I am doing swell.
Awesome. I love that. And I love your energy. And man, I just, especially now when people are talking about how to pivot, how to come back from loss, I feel like, your story, which you have now written a book about, Asleep at the Wheel, is such a profound wake-up call for us all. So can you let us know? I really want to know from that day. I want to know from that day what happened, and just give us a little sneak peek into what happened to you.
I got you. So, man, thank you for mentioning that. And it's crazy that you said the word wake up call. That she didn't even know that. That's what I wrote this book to be. Was a wake up call. And I didn't know at the time I was writing it, because I wrote it before the pandemic, that the world was about to be put into a slumber. We all were going to have to go into this hole. And so everybody had to look introspective. So what this is, man, it's a story about my life. So in the beginning, you get just a glimpse of all the pain and trauma, right? We all have it. But this was my wake up call. And there was a day that I'll never forget. It was a cool evening and friends of mine had a great event, and we were on the way home. And we wound up flying off the highway. So I remember, and I don't know how much time we have. I don't want to go all the way into it if we ain't there yet. But just know that in this book, I tell a story where I flew off the highway at 75 miles per hour, nearing a bridge down into a ditch. Car spinning around. It was the fastest, slowest moment of my life. I could see and feel the glass hitting me in my face. Trees. We knocked down 6 trees before finally we crashed into a massive tree. And that tree split the car, crushed us like an accordion. We were trapped like sardines. And in that moment, I thought my life was over. Spoiler alert. If you're listening to this podcast, that means my life wasn't over. But that was a wake-up call for me. And that wake-up call is this. We live life as if time, like we have this unlimited amount of time. We live life as like, oh, I'll get to it later, or I'm just going to be down. And, you don't take every moment and use the urgency that you should have. And that's why I communicate with this level of passion and fervor, is because I know that I'm on borrowed time. Any moment could be my last. Ever since that moment, there's not a day that I take for granted that this could be my last. So I got to live with urgency, and I got to live with intention, because what I have to say, my voice, my life, my experiences matter. But more than that, your life, your experiences, your passion, all of it matters, and you got to make it count.
I love that. Thank you so much for kind of taking us back. And one word you said that I want to dive in deeper is that intention. Having that profound experience where you could have lost your life and your friends could have lost their lives. I know you made a promise to yourself, and I want you to tell us the promise that you made to yourself that day, and also what the group, because you weren't by yourself, you were with a group of people. So I want you to share the experience, as a group, and also share that promise that you made to yourself.
Absolutely. So as she said, there was 4 of us in the car. And I remember we all were connected, a small community. We had lost one of our best friends to an accident not 2 years prior to this. So I remember sitting in that moment and thinking here we go. This is it. This is the end. And I was afraid to open my eyes. But when I did open my eyes, finally checked on my friends, we were all okay. So when I tell you this car was not okay, when they pulled it up, the car disintegrated, it fell apart. And all 4 of us walked away from that. And so there was something that happened between us that we made a commitment. I made a personal commitment and we made a commitment. And the thing was, before I made the commitment, it was like questions, right? Why? I kept asking, like, why? Why did this happen? Why me? Why? You know, I'm asking. And so many times we get trapped in what's happening around us in our external circumstances, and we start doing the same thing. We start questioning why? Why am I going through pain? Why am I going through suffering? Why did I get abused? Why did this have to happen to me? And that's where I was at first. But I realized I had a revelation that that's the wrong question. The question was never why. The question was what? It was, what did this happen for? What am I here for? And when that revelation happened, I realized that there was a purpose for all of that pain. And that purpose was for me to take it and then show other people how to convert their pain into their power so that they can make a difference in their life. So I made a promise and a commitment that from that day forward, I would spend the rest of my life pouring my heart out to people, sharing, caring, uplifting, and giving and serving to make somebody else's load a little lighter. And I've made good on that promise. I'm here now. I'm doing it. And all four of us friends were able to hold each other accountable on that journey too, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't like, and I never looked back and I never struggled again. Oh no, it was full of even more struggles after that. But it's honoring your commitment.
Wow, that just gave me chills, because it's not about your why. It's not about why, it's about what. And I love that, because a lot of people in this moment, well, why is this happening? Why at this time? And you know I've had a lot of times in my life, like, why did that happen to me? But I love, because, I always say you're not a victim, you're a creator. Yes, when something happens to you, you're a victim in that moment. But what you decide after that is your choice. And that's what I hear you saying with this, not your what. It's not about asking why, it's about asking what. And I feel like if everyone listening cannot live in the past, use it to teach us and show us, but to decide, like, now what? What am I going to do with my life? I think that is absolutely profound. And I do want to dive a little bit deeper on that. Like, so I know you said it was a lot of you, and you all survived this crash. So what are and you made this commitment, like, hey, I'm going to pour, but we all know it's not easy. And I think with social media, we're used to that instant gratification. So can you talk a little bit, and you're making waves, you have your book now. So can you talk about some of the struggles that you hit on your journey to living your purpose?
Absolutely. Oh, what a question. That's a great question, because so many people think the moment they have the revelation that's the moment everything changes, but that's not the way it works. I heard a wise person say that in this life, you reap what you sow, not when you sow, and not where you sow. So you think just because I'm tilling the ground and I'm doing it now, I'm sowing seeds of love and life and I'm putting these things out, that it's going to happen right now. It's not the way that it works. And so I was doing that. And it was like a 10-year wilderness, because I knew I had this passion in my heart to reach people. I had a passion. I wanted to write a book. It was 10 years of like, okay, I was a missionary for a while. So I went to Australia twice and I was serving people there. That was amazing. And then after that, I came back here. I was trying to find a job. So I got married. It's probably a good idea to have a job if you're going to be married. So yeah, that's a good idea. But I'm thinking, I got a degree. It's nothing, right? I'm going to find a job. No problem. That was another thing, the whole other journey of trying to find a job, and then like going through all these interviews and 5 interviews and getting to this, you and one other person, and they choose the other person. Okay, this next job is you and 3 other people. And then I don't get it. And that happened like 5 times. I'm like, okay, what is wrong with me? I'm working temp jobs and I'm just feeling like, well, maybe what I thought was the purpose of my life really isn't. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe I'm not supposed to share my heart, my love, my passion, my story. Maybe I was crazy to think that I could do something like that. So that's where doubt starts to creep in. And then I start isolating from community sometimes. And so then the doubt gets louder. And that's when you isolate yourself from a community, a support group, when you take yourself out of opportunities like listening to this podcast where you get to hear positivity and how to turn pain into power, you find yourself surrounded by negativity, because if you're on social media, the majority of it is negative. You're watching the news and television, a lot of it's negative. It's pulling you down, taking your mind and your heart off center into some place you don't want to be. And so I went through that season, but the caveat is I never stopped moving. So even though I didn't even believe in my own mind and heart at this point, I didn't stop moving. I just kept going. And I went from one temp job to the next temp job. And then I got let go from that temp job, not because of anything I did, budget cuts, and then bills are piling up, almost about to be homeless, to my lowest moment of being let go at a job. And my wife and I were sharing a car. And it was ravaged. We live in Oklahoma. It was ravaged by the hail. So I used to get rained on when it would rain unexpectedly coming through the sunroof. But she had the car this day, so I didn't even have my car to get rained on. And they let me go. They didn't have a thing to put my belongings in, so they pulled a Walmart bag out of the trash can. They put my belongings in it, handed it to me, and was like, "Thank you for your service." And here I am walking down the highway in a suit, no one to call, and remember having a smile on my face. And I'm like, you got to be crazy. Who's in that circumstance and has a smile on their face? But the reason I had a smile on my face was because that wasn't the first test I ever faced. That wasn't the first trial or adversity that I've ever been through. My whole life was one massive trial, one massive adverse situation. And what I realized is everything you ever been through, you came out on the other side. Every time you felt like this is the end, there's no way I'm going to get through this, you somehow found a way to make it, and this will be no different. And so that's my message to somebody right now where you're trying to find purpose and you feel like everything is in your way. It's just stumbling block after stumbling block after stumbling block. And you feel like, how it can't be. There's no way I could accomplish my dreams or live a life that really, quote unquote, matters, given what I'm facing right now. But I want to remind you, however many years you've been on this planet, you've been in situations that you didn't think you would find your way through. Yet here you sit, listening to the sound of my voice, having come out on the other side of all of them. So be encouraged, because you're going to come through this one. And so as I kept walking, after that low moment is when everything, like, you know where to go, but up from here. And it literally happened. Like, the story after that gets crazy. Like, I basically got hired for a new temp job, went one day, horrible. I was about to quit. The manager saw something in me. He comes and was like, "You got a lot to offer. We want to talk." They took me out after that day. They decided, we're going to buy out your contract. They paid thousands to buy me, quote unquote, from the temp agency so that I could become a full-time employee. Well, 1 week later, they pulled me into a meeting and was like, "We want to make you a supervisor." So it went like super fast. Boom, 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 boom. Wow. But I wasn't there long. Go ahead.
And what was it like? I want to go back to the first release. Did you know it was coming, or was it just out of the blue?
No idea.
And did you get a reason why you were let go?
I asked. Nope.
Nothing. Because I know, like, we at least want a heads up so we can emotionally prepare for something. Kind of like this pandemic. It just like one day was like, boom, you're in this. What are you going to do? So I know a lot of people can relate to like the uncertainty of like, first of all, why am I being let go? Second of all, what I'm going to do from here. But you said, and you acknowledged that it was sad for a moment. What was it? What was it that helped you get through that time and turn that sadness into inspiration?
That's a great question. So when life gives you a 4-letter S word, right? I won't say it. When life gives you, I'll say ish. When life gives this to you, you got two choices. You can lay around and wallow in it and everything stinks and be depressed, or you can bury yourself in it, turn it into fertilizer and grow up to become the massive tree or entity you were supposed to be. You only got two choices. Mm-hmm. And so you can make one, and both of them going to be hard. And my mentor always talks about he hates when people say easier said than done. Everything is easier said than done. It takes nothing to say words. I could just throw words out. But the question is, you got to pick your heart. Wallowing in that is not fun. Feeling like you are worthless, feeling like you are less than, feeling like you have nothing to offer is hard. Struggling with your mental health and your heart and wondering why you're here is hard. So if I'm going to do something hard, I might as well do something that pushes me forward towards where I'm supposed to be in this life. And I didn't know what it was. I just knew that wasn't it. That can't be it. It's got to be something else.
So now you're supervisor at this job. You got a new job. You've been elevated. You've been bought out. You're like, I'm supervisor. I'm winning. What happened then? Did you enjoy the supervisor job? Like, what happened in this job? How did this job as a supervisor, now that you've been given this opportunity, how did that change you?
It was good at first because obviously there's better pay. There was perks to the position. But it didn't take me long to realize that on a heart level, we didn't align. So I was in a position where I knew I was out of alignment because there were things that they wanted me to do that didn't sit right with my spirit and my character and who I am, what I stand for. And so many times I think that's a whole word, because sometimes we feel like we have to do things that are outside of alignment with who we are and what we're here for. And we do it because we feel like we have to, but I just realized very quickly. So it became difficult for me, but the thing that made it good was it gave me an opportunity to make good on my promise because I was leading people. And even in a professional environment, everyone is a person. You were a person before you were a professional. So people are coming in here with sick family members, with sick kids. They're sick, getting diagnoses, finding out they have cancer, finding out having anxiety, panic attack. I mean, all type of stuff. And they're used to coming into work environments and nobody caring and just melting down and eating it. And then they come in and here I am just giving them extra love, just hearing them, taking 5 minutes to listen to you share. People just want to be heard. And so that was what sustained me through that season, but that season didn't last long.
How long did it last until, I want to hear about the transition. And I think it's so important because I love your story because it's very similar to mine. I went through a couple of different situations until I landed in the situation that I felt like was in divine alignment with my purpose. So I really want you to take us through that alignment, from the supervisor to now the speaker, to now the author, to now the Marcus Black that we all know and love, with this confident personality and this voice that makes you feel empowered. What did that journey look like?
So it was definitely a journey. There was another stop along the way. And so what happened was I started attending this church, and it was big. I mean, I had been involved in church, but small, in the community, chilling, nothing. And I wound up going to this church because I got invited. My wife and I, we walked in, and it's like the Disney World of churches, massive, people everywhere, everything excellent, the videos. I'm like, yo, this is dope. And I thought it would be nice to work here one day. And immediately it was like, that'll never happen. And I can't even get a job at the church I've been serving at. With 100 people, these thousands of people, it's not going to happen, right? So wrote it off. And exactly 12 months from the day that I walked into that church, I was sitting in an office with one of the executives having a conversation. And he was basically like, tell me you want a job. And I was like trying to be politically correct. He was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I just want to help people. I just want to serve. He was like, what do you want? Tell me what you want. He wanted me to tell him I want a job, but I'm like, that you can't say that to a boss. But finally I did. I said it. He was like, okay, send me your resume. I have heard this story so many times. I'm like, he's just being nice, cool, whatever, but I'll humor me. I'll send it to him. I went to my car. I was sitting in my car about to go, and he called me. Like, it was like 5 minutes. He's like, okay, I ran this by the leadership team. They really like you. So we're going to start this process Monday. And see, I was like, whoa, what just happened? So next thing you know, I wound up hired. So I became a director of discipleship of a mega church, overseeing thousands of people. And I remember asking the question the day that I got hired, why? Why would you hire me? Like, what? I don't have the qualifications. I didn't go to seminary. I didn't go to school for that. I had some, a Bible minor, but still I didn't go to school to do this. And they said, you got the only qualifications you need. And that's a heart for God and his people. And that was profound for me. So I did that for almost 5 years. And the first couple of years was amazing. It was great. It was like, man, I'm doing it. I found it. I found my purpose. I get to help people. And then year 3, something started happening inside of me. And it wasn't that what happened around me ever changed. It was still good, reaching lots of people. But I started to feel, again, that same feeling of like the alignment thing in a different way this time. This time I felt like I was on a parallel road. So I'm headed the same direction, but this still isn't it. So then I was like, this trauma, because I'm like, who do I tell this? Because everybody's like, you got your dream job, you're doing this, and you're doing well, and you're on this trajectory to be a leader. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want that. And I remember when I had the first conversation with my superiors, because what happened was I started feeling in my gut, like, this is great. This is dope, helping a lot of people in the community. I was like, but my heart yearns for people. And as good as we do this, as beautiful as this service is, as many people as we help, there are millions of people who don't care what's happening in these 4 walls, and they ain't coming. But they still need love. They still need hope. They still need light. They still need passion. They still need resources. So what about them? And that's where my heart it was burning. I was like, I got to get out here. And I started feeling this call to create something that didn't exist, which scared me because I'm like, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. But I just felt like it's what I was supposed to do. So at the 5-year mark, I transitioned out of that role at the church with no job. I'm not saying I suggest this to y'all, but when I told him I was leaving, I was leaving stability and insurance and vacation 3 to 4 weeks a year. I mean, like to like nothing. I ain't have a job.
And which what was that like? I mean, I'm sure your wife was probably either 100% with you or on the fence or like, what are you doing? Like, how was that like? Because I know it's hard to make big big changes like that. It affects the relationship as well.
It does. It can. You have to make sure that you're in alignment. And so the one thing I never did was took her thoughts or her feelings for granted. She was included in the whole process. I didn't make a decision and tell her and expect her to be on board. I processed with her what was happening in my heart and in my spirit. And it's weird because like all the stuff we used to argue about, like I took the trash out but forgot to put a new bag in, like stuff like that, right? It was like these, I know, right? These big things. But something like as pivotal as your livelihood, me saying I'm about to walk away from our stability was like, okay, she was on board, like in full alignment, like she trusted it. That doesn't mean she didn't have her own worries, but she trusted me and what I felt.
Powerful. That's powerful. That's how you know you have a good partner. We're like, I don't know where we're going, but I'm going with you. So that's
going somewhere.
We're going together. And that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So what is this wake-up call? It's like you got multiple wake-up calls. I know there's a lot of people listening like, man, you know, he was the one that made it. So what advice do you have for people listening so that they can be attuned to their own wake-up calls? Because a lot of times there's a lot of voices out there. There's social media, there's family, there's friends. What advice do you have those listening to how to be aware of those calls when they come?
This is perfect. Ooh. So I'll tell you the very end of that story, which leads right into the question you just asked, which is, after I made that decision to leave without a job, I got reached out to by an organization in my city that serves inner city families and schools and kids. And they were looking for somebody. I'm like, okay, this is immediate. This gives me an opportunity to get my hands dirty where I want to be. I get a chance to speak every week in the schools to the kids, get to feed them, get to meet their needs. It equaled my salary that I was making at the church. So that came out of nowhere with half the hours worked, which gave me time to build this platform I'm supposed to be building, to be a content creator, to be a podcast host, to make videos, to write a book, all this stuff, right? And so I pushed on, I kept going. I found a mentor who is famous motivational speaker, and that was crazy. Reached out to him, sent him a message, just said, I want to be in your life. I want to learn from you. Like whatever it takes, I'll come to your next event. I want to sweep the floor. I want to move some boxes. I just need to be in the presence of greatness. And I went from there, and then I just started doing it. The first thing he told me is two things. Number one, are you committed? Are you committed to this? And I'm not talking about, no, yeah, I want to do it. Are you committed? He said, because inconvenience exposes commitment. And this journey will be anything but convenient.
Ooh, say that again. Inconvenience?
Inconvenience exposes commitment. And true. Your journey will be anything but convenient. So the question is, are you really committed? And I had to answer that question. He said, okay, the next step is take action. So when you ask the question, when people get this wake up call, what you do, you make a commitment, a real commitment to know that this is going to be hard. I had 2 years because all of this stuff I just told you about just happened. This ain't like years ago. Like it's 2 years. I'm 2 years in the game since I made that choice to leave. But the whole first year, I'm making videos, I'm making content, nobody watching, 10 viewers, nobody liking. Going through getting sick, having things happen, surgeries, death. I mean, all of this stuff is happening. And it's like, man, am I really supposed to do this? Or are you just crazy? But because I made the commitment, the inconveniences did not stop me from doing what I knew I was supposed to do. And so you have to keep pressing. And so when I met you, now everything is popping off. Every speaker that I've ever watched and studied and learned and said I want to be like is now talking to me. We're in communication. We're talking about working together. That's because two things. Because I made a commitment and I didn't let anything stop me. I didn't care. It's not about external feedback. It's not about likes and comments. You got to do what you do for the love, not for the likes.
Do it for the love, not for the likes. I love that.
Yeah. And then take action.
Moment, like, making that commitment and now saying, now I'm in a space that I've always wanted to be in. What is it that just keeps you committed every day? Because I know there's a lot going on. And as much as we don't want to think about the likes, they're still there. They've been trying to be removed a couple of times. And you care about people. So, you care about feedback. So what is it that you do to keep yourself in alignment with your commitment despite, sometimes negative? I'm sure you've gotten negative feedback if you're out there. And, if you're out there doing your thing, you're going to get some negative feedback. So how do you deal with the critics? How do you deal with the sometimes feeling like, oh, well, no one showed up this time?
That's a great question. You are an incredible interviewer. Yeah. Two questions that I ask myself and I ask everybody I coach. That's another thing I do. I got clients, and one of the first questions I ask them is, you need to be able to tell me two things. You need to be, Simon Sinek wrote a book, Start With Why, and I love him. So much respect. That's an incredible book, but I disagree with the process. I don't think you start with why. You start with what? What do you want? Because if you can have all the why in the world, but if you don't know what you want, then that why is taking you nowhere. You just right here filled with passion, but nowhere to channel it. So when I ask them, what do you want most in this life? Like when you're sitting in a rocking chair in old age and you're reflecting over your life, what do you want to be thinking about? What is the story you want to tell? Because when you can answer that question, you now have a destination. So I have a destination because I know what I want most in this life. Then why do I want it? Because the why is the driving force. That's what keeps me from giving up. That's what stops me from being distracted by all the things, right? So to answer your question, anything that comes my way that is not in direct alignment with what I want most and why I want it is out. And so when I start thinking about these external things, about negative feedback, that doesn't really matter. That's somebody else's opinion, and that has nothing to do with me. That's a reflection of a hole they have in their own heart based on something they're going through. So I keep my mind centered and my eyeballs focused on where I'm going. It's just like, they say the majority of accidents in the world happen from somebody watching another accident.
What? Really?
You haven't heard that before? Like I said, most accidents happen, and what's crazy is after the first time I heard it, I noticed every time, when you're like on the highway, and it's like a bad accident where you've been stopped for a while and you get up there, what does everybody do? They break their neck because they want to see.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of wrecks happen.
Wow.
And so for me, it's like, as long as I stay focused on my destination and where I'm going, I cannot be distracted by the accidents that are happening around me, by the noise that's happening around me. And because I know that life is short and it could end at any moment, I move with urgency, like I don't have time to waste. So every day I'm moving the ball forward, not feeling like I got to take 100-mile trek every day, but I got to move the ball a little bit. I got to get a little bit closer to where I'm going every day.
Yes. A little bit. I love that, because a lot of people think you want to go from A to Z, but just like you said, it's that moving a little bit forward each day that can give you the strength to especially move through difficult times.
With everything going on in the world, now is a perfect time to pour into yourself. If you've been thinking about joining the wellness community and learning more about your health and wellness and how to improve the well-being of others, then the Get Loved Up Holistic Health and Yoga Teacher Training is for you. We have a variety of offerings, from the 100 hour to get a taste of how holistic health and yoga can bless your life, and the 200 to 500 hours to deep dive into the study of how meditation, breathwork, yoga, and mindful living can transform your health and the health of our world. Go to koyawebb.com/YTT for more details. I'll see you there.
And so let's bring it up to recent, because like you said, you left this comfortable position. You are, like feeling the feels, and then a year of pandemic. So what have you done during this time to help you stay on top of your commitment to yourself and your commitment to your community, with us dealing with so much uncertainty in the world?
Man, the pandemic hit home. It hit my heart. It struck me close because I'm an extrovert. I love people. I got to be in the mix. I can't be. Isolation is not it for me. Mm-hmm. So that was rough at first.
Another wake-up call.
Come on now. But I think so many times this is the mistake we make, because I spent the first few months of that pandemic focusing on what I don't have and what I wish I had, rather than focusing on what I do have. And so when I flipped my mindset to start with what I do have, I realized, okay, it's not the same. It's not the most convenient, but I got technology. I can see your face. I can feel your energy. This is a tool for connection. Okay, I got a phone. Okay, I got social media. Social media doesn't just have to be I'm just thumbing through mindlessly, or I'm just posting stuff and trying to grow a brand. I can connect with humans. And so the word that comes up in the middle of that is gratitude. Started practicing gratitude daily, because gratitude is the attitude that propels you to your highest heights, right? It's what gives you the ability to soar. It takes you into a different space. And so when I started being thankful for what I do have, so many people lost jobs. I work for a nonprofit and I didn't lose a job. We fully depend on support from other companies who were losing their companies. I didn't lose a job. I didn't lose a home. I didn't get COVID. Man, all these people died, and that's a horrible tragedy, but I didn't. So I have to be thankful that I have life, that I have health, that I have strength, and practicing those gratitudes and focusing what I do have helped me press through to take advantage of everything I have.
I love that, because it's so easy. I'm empathetic. So it's so easy for me to like, be like, oh, I'm so sad. Like all these people hurting. But like you said, you have to realize, well, you are still alive. So what, again, back to your question, what are you going to do with your life? Are you going to waste it in a low vibration? How long before you realize that you still have a choice to shine? You still have a choice to represent those whose lives were lost, who are experiencing, a shift in reality. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. I just really love your story. I really love how you deliver. I really love, because I think a lot of people are still in that space where like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and things are not what they look like, and I can't really see my way out. But I love your advice again. Take it one day at a time, and you have to be committed. You have to be committed to whatever it is. It's different for all of us, but we have to be committed to it. So I'm going to pivot a little bit to just getting to know you more, because I feel like, anyone living a life on their own terms as an entrepreneur, you have to have a lifestyle that can cater to that. So Get Loved Up is all about loving yourself, loving others, loving the world, but it starts with self-care. So how do you get loved up every day to keep yourself in this high vibrational energy so you can uplift others?
Every day. It's a daily thing. Because I always tell people, I learned this the hard way working for a church. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And that we say it so much, it almost sounds cliche. But if you are not actively filling your cup, that is a recipe for destruction and disaster. So I had to find a way. So for me, it's protecting my peace, right? That's the first thing I do. So your peace can be taken from you, robbed from you before you begin to blink. Like you turn the TV on, if that's the first thing you do in the morning, even if it's the news, you just want to see the weather. No, you're gone. Your day is gone because they've taken you into all the traumatic. You open your phone, news reports, you open social media. If you do that before you do anything else, your day is taken from you. So before I do any of that, it's my time. It's prayer time. It's meditation time. It's quiet. I am protecting my mind before I do that. And so then I separate myself, right? You got to disconnect. So I go to the lake like every day. Like if most people watch my content, it's like, why is always a body of water? Some people picked up on it. And then now when I do content that's not in a body of water, people be like, what's wrong? Because they've gotten familiar, but they don't realize that before I made that video, I was there for an hour or two, just listening, just feeling the wind hit my face, listening to the birds, the water, the waves, and something about that. Like I'm a nature person. I go on a nature walk. When I'm outside, I am being refueled. But the caveat is I'm not outside and still on my phone or on social media. I'm just nothing. I'm disconnected. You can't get to me. You don't have access to me in this moment because this is how I'm refueling myself. And then I'm practicing my gratitude. So what do you have? What do you have? Not what don't you have? What do you have? You do that every day. I'm good. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get it.
That's so important. I practice gratitude every day, and it keeps your vibration high, because there's a lot of times, no matter who you are, you can look around and say something that you don't have. But like you said, it's about focusing on what you do have. And I love that you spend time in nature, especially at Get Loved Up. But one of our hashtags that we champion is like, getting out in nature, time in nature. And so with that, I'm a foodie. I've been vegan for a long time, and I feel like food is important, and fueling yourself is important. So, and I know everyone's not a vegan, but I still like to ask people, what are your favorite? And I tell people, if you have 3 favorite fruits and 3 favorite vegetables, then you can literally make so many recipes from that you could never get bored. So can you share with us 3 of your favorite fruits and 3 of your favorite vegetables?
Well, first of all, help me. Because of all the things, that's the one area where I struggle the most. And I've toyed with the idea before. It's like I want to, but that's where it's hard. But it's the same concept. Just take action, make it happen, right? So
I got you. Hold up. We gonna call you out live. I got you. So if I got you, are you trying to make a commitment to this lifestyle? Like, you gotta make a commitment.
I'll commit to trying. I really have tried before for real. And I just didn't, I don't think I was like, okay, I'm gonna go vegan. But I was eating like, or vegetarian, but I was eating like a bunch of cheese and like a bunch of bad stuff. So I'm like, I'm still not helping myself. Like eating a bunch of sugar, like technically that counts. Like, nah, man, if I want to do it, like I can tell you do it the right way.
But let me tell you, I eat healthy 80% of the time, about, 10 to 20%. I like to go out to eat. I'm what you call a vegan foodie. I go out to eat, I have cheese, I have pizza, I have things like that are vegan. Cause I'm from the South. I like food. It's fun. I like the sociality of it. I love to see if you can make it like I used to have it. So I have fun. And I think that helps me stay healthy. Just because I'm an emotional eater. I love food. I'm just passionate about it. So I really suggest to people some people will go, hey, I'm eating to live. I'm eating 100% healthy, 100%. And that's amazing. But I feel like I can relate to a lot of people because I can eat perfect, but I also like to have fun and eat other things too. And I feel like you can eat that way as long as you understand balance. And so, like I said, I got you. If you want to go put more plants on your plate and you want guidance, I'm a certified plant-based nutritionist. So I will definitely commit right here live on the Get Loaded Up podcast to give you a plan, create a plan for you, be your mentor when it comes to your nutrition. I got you. So
I really need that. So like, I guess to answer your question, I love fruit. Like, so it's probably the bad fruit. I love cherries. Like are some of my favorite when they're in season. That's probably my favorite fruit. I like pineapple a lot. I actually like honeydew melon. Like I like all fruit. It's really not a fruit I don't like. And as far as vegetables, I love asparagus and Brussels sprouts, which are probably different from most people. And see, look, right, maybe green beans. That's about the end of that journey.
Whoa. Okay. You gave me 3 vegetables, but a lot of fruits. I can work with that. I'll
eat any vegetable. I don't really like broccoli, but about anything else, we can work with it.
Okay. All right. Well, you're live. I got you on record and we're going to do this. I'm 100% going to send you a plan and talk to you and follow up. And so
I just started a journey. So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about my health and fitness. So like a couple of years ago, I found out we were about to have the birth of our second son in the same week, something that should be joyous. It was like the next day I went to the doctor for my just annual blood work and all this stuff. And the doctor was like, oh, you about to die. Like legit. She was like, yeah, you don't have 10 years. She was like, because she named all the things. Blood sugar, blood pressure, all this stuff. I was like, dang. So then I was like, okay, what do you do? And so I took action. She was like, you got to take these 7 pills the rest of your life. If you don't, you're going to die. I'm stubborn. I was like, don't tell me. I'm not about to take no medicine. I'm not that anyway, because then my body's going to shut down and be dependent upon it. I'm not saying you shouldn't take your medicine if you're listening. That was just my personal. So I went on a journey and I committed and I went hard. When I say went hard, I went like all the way too hard to where I like tore my body up. So I lost 100 pounds, but I wasn't fueling my body properly. I wasn't eating enough. And my body started breaking down. I tore my hamstring. I tore all my muscles start breaking and tearing apart. And then I got depressed because I couldn't work out no more. And so then I started eating, reverting back to old habits. And then I found the 100 pounds I lost. And then when I made up my mind that it was time to go back at it, COVID happened and I couldn't go anywhere. Gyms are closed. And so that was just weighing on me. So at the end of last year, I said, okay, forget it. I'm coming back at it. Let's get it. I'm ready. I got with a trainer. I got in the gym, started building that back up, started feeling myself. And as soon as I did, I had a car accident. I got rear-ended, tore my rotator cuff, tore my car up. I mean, just a Jeep ran through my trunk.
How long ago was this?
This was in the end of last year.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
So like a few months ago. I mean, not that long. Yeah. So I'm like, dang, man, but I'm not giving up. So now I'm doing this challenge 100 where you have to do something for 100 days. And I committed to do a 5K for 100 days. I'm 10 days in, haven't missed a day. So, okay. So the fitness side is happening. I'm committed. I went out there in the rain one day because I'm not letting this inconvenience expose. I'm really committed. But the eating, that's the most important part. And that's what I need help with.
All right. I got you. After this podcast, I'm gonna send you follow up. I'm gonna send you to get the game plan, and yeah, we can make it happen. Because before I became a life coach, and before I became more of a CEO of Get Loved Up This Community, I was a personal trainer, and I love personal training. I love helping people reach their goals. And one of my most profound stories was helping this man that I met lose 200 pounds in a year. And it's science to me. And, he wasn't 100% vegan. We did do vegan for 2 weeks out of the month. And then we did vegetarian. And then he had 1 week where he could, have some freedom. So, but I've made many plans for many people. I know I can make a plan for you. So I'm just going to take that out. I really don't do it much anymore. I do it for my community, but because you bring me joy, I can't even, my cheeks hurt from smiling just at your story, because I know that it's not easy. And I feel like we are divinely connected for a reason. And I feel like this is a reason beyond this podcast and beyond your book, which I totally want to champion. But I'm just smiling so hard because I'm like, wow, it brings me joy to do this type of work, especially for people who are pouring so much into others. I like to nurture the nurturers. I like to make sure that whatever it is, you 100. And if there's a place I can support, I'm there. So I'm excited. I'm saying yes. And I can't wait. So that's done. And I got a question for you, because there is a lot going on. And like you said, a lot that we can't control. So if you could control it, and if we could wake up tomorrow in it's Marcus Black's world, what would that look like?
Oh man, crazy in the best way though. And every day, I get 50 requests a day. I got some big speaking engagements, thousands, arena type stuff coming up, and Zooms. I do probably 2 to 3 Zooms a day, between probably 3 with podcasts and speaking engagements, virtual. So but I love people and I love connecting. So for me, it's giving me life, and for me, it's giving me the opportunity. So what I would say, it looks like I'm like, it's a lot. It is a lot, but it's it don't feel like a lot to me, because it's honoring the commitment I made, that promise that we started this show with. So I'm out in the city. I'm out here in the hood with my kids, teaching them life skills and emotional resilience and setting them up to win. I'm on Zoom calls doing the same thing with businesses. I'm on stages. I'm on podcasts. I'm just everywhere. I'm all over the place. But it's not taking control of me. I control it, because I get to control what I say yes to. And then in the evening, when my kids get from daycare, we sit down. It's family time. We eat together, right? We do this. Friday night is date night. Saturday night is family night. I got some non-negotiables that we're going to have to work around that. It is what it is. So because that's a priority for me. So you got to know what's a priority for you. And so I don't feel like this stretches me thin. This actually fuels me, because I know that it's making good on a promise and a commitment I made a long time ago, that somebody's going to hear this and find hope. Somebody's going to hear this and find encouragement. Somebody's going to hear this and find life. Somebody's going to hear this and go change the world.
I love that. And I agree. I definitely feel like that inspiration. And I love what you said about prioritizing your family. Because especially now, there are a lot of families that are together and just I am tired of looking at your face. I'm tired of being here. I want to get out. So how have you really kept it tight within your family unit?
Man, my wife and I both run hard. I'm not going to lie. When I was young, we've been together forever, 14 years now. And then we've been married, it'll be 9 this year. But because of that, I used to try to control her when I was young and feel like this is what good people are supposed to do, and you got to go this route, and this is what we have to do and look like. And I remember having a revelation that man, bro, chill out. You don't own her. She is a human, a whole human with purpose, as much purpose, maybe more than you, passion, power. And so all of this stuff was happening inside of me. And ever since I had that revelation, I started pushing her to do what she wants. She's an R&B artist, like go make music. She hitting the studio. She's a writer. She's writing books. She owns a business and she works for, she's doing a lot. So I'm doing a lot. So it's like, it's cool. It's not like we're sitting here like one of us feels like somebody's getting left behind. As much as I'm going out and trying to reach the world and save the world, I'm pushing her to give her gifts to the world as well. So that when we come to the end of that, it's like, okay, now it's the cool moment where we just get to, I did this and I talked to this person and I get to share. And then she's like, oh, I did this. I wrote this song. I like it. I mean, it's like, cool.
That is so beautiful.
I guess the principle in all of that is, when it comes to your family, learning that what you want for them isn't what's always best for them, and understanding. So seeking opportunities to really connect, because we're all growing and changing. Like you can feel like you know somebody, but you really don't. Like really open up, have open dialogue with my kids. We have open dialogue. I'm like, you think I'm a bad dad? And my kid says sometimes. I'm like, ooh. But to him, from his 5-year-old mind, if I'm fussing, even if it's to protect him, the way that I'm communicating makes him feel I didn't get that. So I'm trying to be intentional with how I communicate with him, because he's a person and I am forming the foundation of who he's going to be. And I don't want to kill his drive or his zeal or his zest or his confidence. So anyway, it's about prioritizing, getting to know on a deepest level the people that live with you, and creating open, safe spaces to have real, genuine connection.
That is powerful. We can literally have a whole nother hour just talking about those two things. Number one, trying to control other people's reality to match your own. I think that is a profound thing. And I love that you don't have that in your relationship, or you admit it like, hey, I used to be like this, but I saw like that wasn't productive. So I switched to be supportive and promoting of my partner. I think that's so powerful. And I know some people need to hear that, because I know some people, they're like, oh, well, this person has to look this way, has to act this way, has to say this. Even in our groups, like different churches and different groups, it's like everyone has to be like this uniform way, when, like you said, everyone is different and unique and powerful and amazing. And if they're conformed, then they cannot express. So I love that you call that out, because I think everyone needs to hear that. Allow people to express fully as themselves, so that you can have a come together, and that makes a beautiful world. I just think that was just so profound. And then also what you said about your son, communicating in a way that is safe. And I think that's important, especially coming from a male, because a lot of times you're like, well, you know, men are just say whatever, or they're just hard or whatever. But I love your compassionate heart, where you realize like, hey, what I say is not just my intention, but the impact, you know, matters. And having compassion for your son and how he's receiving you. I think that is something, a huge takeaway for people to realize that, you know, and we talked about it for this whole last year when it comes to racism, but it also applies in any relationship. You know, it's really about being intentional with what we say, but even when you're intentional, it is about being compassionate about the impact, whether they're in trauma or whether they are just have a young mind. That impact matters. So thank you so much. I mean, like, those are just so many golden nuggets that I know people are walking around feeling a lot lighter and also taking notes. So I just kind of want to give you some space to share, you know, if you had a message that you want to leave with everyone listening today, and how to move into, as you say, that next step, just that next day. What advice would you like to share?
Thank you for the space, and thank you for all your feedback. Thank you for allowing me to share with your powerful community. I've had so much respect for you. I hear you speak, and the passion, the heart, the love, it just exudes. So this is where I get like, you know, emotional. It's what it's for. And I think at the end of the day, if you don't take anything else away, I need you to know who you are, right? Because you have allowed external voices. You have allowed people to say things about you that you have taken those messages as truth, tucked them into your heart, buried them, and you move through life timid or fearful or afraid or cowering from your power and your purpose because of what somebody else told you. And I feel that on the deepest level because I hear so many people say, but I don't know how. Yes, you do. Or I hear people say, I don't know what I want. Yes, you do. You're saying that because of who's not going to receive it when you actually put it out to the world. Maybe it's people close to you. They might laugh at you or they might say that's dumb, but you care so deeply about it. And so you move through life with your head down. You fall asleep at the wheel. That's why I wrote the book. So if you don't hear me say anything else, I need you to awaken to the power that lives within you. I need you to realize, affirm yourself. You don't need anybody else to affirm you. You don't need anybody else to give you power. You don't need anybody else to give you a voice. You just got to use it and show up. So the way to find success in life is to just be you and show up every single day. Martin Luther King said, you don't got to see the whole staircase. You only need one step. So take a step. Don't sit in it. Don't wait on it because life isn't promised. You got to move with urgency. And whatever you do, you got to go get it. Silence the lies of anything else that does not align with what you want and go get it because you can. That is what my heart's message would be to you today.
I love that. And I love y'all that can't see him. He has his shirt on because you can. Go get it. Go get loved up. I'm just happy that you said yes. Happy to share you and your book, Asleep at the Wheel. If y'all have not read it, go check it out. Be inspired and encouraged. And y'all, Marcus, tell everyone where to find you, where they can find you.
Best place to find me, you can find me on all the social media platforms at MBlackSpeaks, MBlack speaks with an S, but Instagram is the best place. Shoot me a message, man. Let's connect. And there's a link in my bio with the book and all the other stuff I've done.
I love it. Thank you so much. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the shares. I appreciate this community. We are growing by just thousands weekly. And it's because you all are sharing the message and you're sharing the podcast and you're sharing these great speakers like Marcus Black. So definitely keep sharing. If you haven't already, leave a review. Once you've left the review, take a screenshot of it, email me, koya@koyawebb.com. And I got a little gift for you. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a loyal listener. And until next time, love yourself, love others, and love the world. One day at a time, one breath at a time. Peace and love.
I just want to take a moment to say thank you for being part of the Get Loved Up community. I like to share topics and people making a positive impact in the world, and your feedback means the world to me. If you haven't already left a review, please leave a 5-star review and let me know what you want to hear more of on the show. I'm here for you, and together we're making the world a better place, one day at a time, one show at a time. Thank you for listening.